So Kim Kardashian has just relaunched her old makeup brand called KKW Beauty under the new name Skin by Kim. If you follow anything to do with the Kardashians or the Jenners, you'll probably know that Kim Kardashian used to have a makeup brand back in the day. I think this was like 2018. It was under the name KKW Beauty, obviously back when she was a West. It was kind of a success because at the time it was a very talked about brand. She just came out with these contour sticks. From what I remember, I think I did test it out in a video. I know I probably used it like a handful of times after that. So in my opinion, I think the product was a little bit of a gimmick at that time. The makeup brand then went a little bit quiet and went on a hiatus, and that's when she started to dabble with this new brand called Skin by Kim, which was predominantly a skincare brand at the start. The skincare products that she released under this brand were just way overpriced. They were super expensive. Yes, the ingredients were good, but to be honest, to me, it seemed like a little bit of a cash grab. So now that she has returned back to her true calling, which is obviously the makeup, I really am keen to see what this will be like. If you guys are new here and you guys haven't seen my face before, hi, I'm Roxy. Welcome to my channel. If you guys want to stick around, be sure to subscribe down below. But without further ado, let's try out all of the new products from Skin by Kim. Alright, so here I have my box of goodies. This box contains 3 products. These are the 3 products that she has released. There's the eyeshadow palette, the lip liner, and the lipstick. In total, everything that is inside this box has cost me £121. That's including a whopping £19 shipping fee. Obviously, Skin being an American brand, they do ship from there. So if you were to order something from there, just know that you are the one paying the cost. They don't have like a third party kind of retailer or anything like that that holds this product currently in the UK. Anyways, here is what the box looks like inside. It's pretty plain actually, but it's got Kim's eyes right there. I really like that little touch. I mean, for the price that we're paying here, you definitely don't want to be looking at just a simple white piece of paper. So I like the nice touches. I also like how aesthetic the box looks. It's got all this little tissue inside, and then we have the 3 products. So with this launch, I have been keeping up with people's opinions over on the Instagram, like when she released this, and honestly, there was a mixture of opinions. The packaging is very neutral, very minimalistic, which honestly, I don't expect anything different from her. That is her brand. That is literally what her whole house looks like. So let's start out with price points. The palette, you guys may know, costs £49, and that is for 12 matte shadows. I mean, we'll see what the quality is like in the trial part, but to be honest, for a matte eyeshadow palette, I feel like we could get away with like a £30 price point, not almost 50. I mean, yeah, it's very, very slick. I really like the packaging, but having looked at it, it definitely does not scream a £50 palette, which means that what the brand is saying is that what is inside is worth £49, and this is what's inside. Now, as you can see, it's a very, very plain kind of eyeshadow palette. I feel like if you're a beginner, this would be a great palette to start with because it's a really easy to work with palette. There's some light shades, there's some dark shades. You can really deepen up a look. There has been a lot of comparisons made that this palette right here was very similar to the one of Makeup by Mario. And honestly, side by side, I really do see the resemblance. But then again, it's a neutral palette. I feel like how many different variations of a neutral palette can you get? Also, the layout, it's nothing new. Like, it's not like Mario has created this layout. I feel like most neutral palettes do have the light to dark kind of layout. Having said that, I really do wish I could have been a fly on the wall when Kim was perhaps discussing her palette launch with Mario, because I'm sure he would have probably said like, yeah, it's very similar to my palette, right? So that's the palette. I'm excited to see what we can create with this. We then have the 2 lip products right here. So price point wise, I was mostly shook at the price point of the lip liner. The lip liner, I got this in the shade Nude 09, and this was £22. Now, for something like this, I'd expect to pay like £15 max for a lip liner. So £22 does seem kind of steep. Now, shade-wise, I feel like a lot of the shades were very, very similar, so it was kind of hard to choose. I kind of just ended up clicking one and just went with it. And then the last product is, of course, the lipstick. They call this the Soft Matte Lip Color. I got this in the shade Nude 02, and this was £31. pounds. So again, quite expensive. You get 2.4 grams in this lipstick. It does seem like quite a thin one, so I guess we'll see how we get on with that. Okay, so starting out with the eyeshadow palette. This is the shades that we get. It's quite a warm toned palette, although there is a few cool toned shades in this sort of corner here. Now I have already done my base and also primed my lids, but I'm just gonna set everything down with this shadow right here. Okay, so as I'm picking the shadow up, I do see a little bit of kickback, not an awful lot, but I mean enough for me to notice. Just to be safe, I'm gonna dust everything off between uses. This is the lightest shade of the palette, and I'm just gonna literally pop that all over the lid as a wash of color, just to kind of tone out any of the darkness and the veins underneath my eyelid. I mean, color-wise, it's not a very noticeable shade on my eyelid. It kind of just melts into my skin tone, but I do find that adding this sort of layer of eyeshadow first always just makes the other shadows blend into it easier. There is a little bit of fallout just here, but obviously that's with the lightest shade, so it's not as noticeable. I am a little bit concerned how the darker shades are going to perform now. Okay, so that's a nice clean canvas. Now let's go into one of the more transitional shades, perhaps this one. I'm just going to start patting this right in the outer corner. And I'm also trying to fan this outwards towards my temple. So far, this shade is actually really nice. There's very, very minimal fallout, and it really blends like a dream. It's also very pigmented. I feel like a tiny bit definitely goes a long way. That shade is honestly stunning. It's like my perfect transitional shade. I love it. I've just realized the kind of look I'm gonna go for, because honestly, going into this, I had no idea what I was gonna create, but I think I'm actually gonna end up creating my makeup from my wedding day. It was super smoky and really, really sultry, and honestly, I loved it. So I guess we'll just create like a matte version of it. Okay, so that's the transitional shade in the outer corners done. I'm now gonna go in with the same shade on a flat brush this time, and I'm also gonna pull that on the inner corners like so. And the shape we're trying to create is we're going to go like this with the darker shadows, and then we're going to keep this part in the center the lightest shade possible. This is really going to give that elongated Bratz doll kind of eye look, which honestly I'm obsessed with. It's very lifting and just really flattering. Okay, these shadows are really, really buttery smooth. I am loving working with these so far. It's just so annoying because they're so expensive. Okay, so that's the kind of shape we're going for so far. Obviously, it's quite messy, but we'll get there. Okay, I'm now gonna take a combo of these two shades. I don't wanna go as dark as this one just yet, so I'm kind of gonna soothe it out with this lighter shade above it. And we're now gonna focus that right on the outer corner only. We're starting to create a slight depth right here, and kind of preparing it for that smoky darkest shade, which is going to be obviously the liner. In the inner corner, I'm then adding that same shade on the flat brush, but we're trying to create that dark shade to a minimum on the inner corner because you don't want to overpower it right there. I'm sort of working to a super sharp line and then blending it away into like a diffused kind of gradient. I'm now going to be taking a little bit of the darkest shade on a tiny flat brush alone, and I'm going to start creating that darkest shade right in the sort of outer corner, really close to the lash line. And as I get to the very outer corner, I'm starting to kind of flick it upwards to create that liner sort of shape. I've absolutely been loving doing my liner with an eyeshadow. It just looks so much more like subtle, if you know what I mean. I'm now going to be taking this shade right here and mixing it with a little bit of this one, and I'm basically going to accentuate that inner corner sort of crease. I'm also pulling that dark brown shade underneath my lower lash line just to kind of tie the whole look together. I'm now going into the darkest matte black shade with a very small, sort of dense, thin brush. And I'm gonna start packing that outer corner liner just like this. Oh my gosh, that literally looks so good. I'm very impressed with this black shade. It's actually really, really black, and there's not a single bit of fallout. I was so worried about that. I also want to create like an inner corner sort of point, so I'm gonna be taking the dark brown shade on a really thin brush like this, and I'm just gonna draw that tiny little line like so. Now the last step of this eye look is going back in with the lightest shade possible, and I'm just gonna be going over that middle part of my lid just to kind of bring that highlight back to it. All right, so that's the eyeshadow finished. I'm now gonna apply some mascara, and once I'm done, I'll give you guys my final verdict of this palette. Okay, so that is the finished eye look. I have to say, I am really impressed with this eyeshadow palette. It's definitely very easy to use, so if you are a beginner and you're looking for a decent palette, I feel like this would be a good buy if you have the money to splurge. With that being said though, I have tried plenty of drugstore palettes that are just as good as this. Not to blow my own trumpet or anything, but for my actual wedding day to create a look that looked exactly like this, I actually used my own Range with Revolution. In my £10 Ride or Die palette with Makeup Revolution, you literally have these exact shades that you would need to recreate this look, and that is literally the palette I used for my wedding day, and it was £10 instead of 50. But of course, we have to take into account that this palette, obviously you are paying for the name, you're paying for Kim's brand. My final verdict is that this palette is a good palette. I do like the look I've created with it, but it's definitely overpriced. I wouldn't pay £50 for it. I'd pay maybe 30 at most. All right, now let's move on to the lip liner. So I am actually in dire need for a new lip liner, so I'm really hoping this is gonna be it. Here is what the packaging looks like. Pretty simple. It matches the whole vibe of the whole sort of collection. Just to remind you all, I got this in the shade Nude 09, so let's just go straight in and line my lips with it. So that's the lip overlined. I actually really like the shade of this. It's great for overlining. If you yourself like to overline your lips like me, then you definitely want to get a shade that's slightly darker than your lip to get the most natural look. As you can see, I overlined my top lip quite a bit, but you wouldn't be able to tell from far away because the way that this is much darker than my lip just kind of creates that different dimension to my lip. So I have to say, I'm a big fan of the shade. The formula was nice. It was creamy, but not too creamy. I mean, it's a decent lip liner. Again, it was overpriced, but it's good. And lastly, we're doing the lipstick. This is the Soft Matte Lip Color in the shade Nude 02. I opted for a slightly lighter color of lipstick because I love that nude sort of lip that Kim always has. This is what the lipstick looks like. Very simple packaging. Once again, it opens like this. And then this is the shape of the lipstick. Very thin, as you can see. I guess let's go straight in and apply it. Okay, so that is the lipstick on. I have a super dry and chapped lips right now. So it was definitely clinging onto those really like dry patches, which was really annoying. But after a little bit of applying, I definitely got there in the end, and I think it looks okay now. Shade-wise, I like it, but I don't know if it suits me. It kind of makes me look a little bit dead in my opinion. Perhaps this shade is a little bit too cool toned for me. I feel like I definitely need something a little bit warmer, but I do think it matches the eye look quite well. So let me know what you guys think. You guys be the judge. So rating wise, what do I think of all these products? I would say the eyeshadow palette deserves probably like an 8 out of 10. The formula was good, but I'm giving it an 8 because of the price point. The lip liner was okay. Personally, I would still say I prefer my Rimmel Cappuccino, which is like a fraction of the price, but it's an okay lip liner. So again, I'm giving this an 8. And lipstick, I mean, it's similar to ones that I've tried from like L'Oreal. Even the shade, like it's so similar. So I wouldn't say this lipstick is worth £30. I'm gonna have to give this like a 6 out of 10. I have to say, I do feel that I've been slightly harsh with my ratings considering I do really like the look, but I just have to be honest with you guys. That's how I feel about these products. That's the ratings I stand by. I wanna open a discussion in the comments, so let me know what you guys think of these products. Do you think they performed well? Do you think they're worth the price point, or do you think that they are another cash grab by the Kardashians? God knows there's been a few of those, so let me know what your thoughts are. As always, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you smash that huge thumbs up down below and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. But that is all from me. Thank you guys so much for being here and watching this video, and hopefully I will see you guys in my next one. Bye! Mwah.